You know, when I did Broadway, I put a picture of me at 5 years old. That was the only picture I had on my mirror, and I thought that she deserves this. Wow. And I would just look at her each night and go, this is for you. And so this is what really, propelled me to not be tired. I mean, it was, 8 shows a week. Yeah. 8 shows a week, 2 shows on the weekend. It's quite, it was a lot. It was so wonderful. But it did feel like Groundhog Day when you do a play every day and you're like, I just did this yesterday, I'm gonna do it today. When you catch yourself. Gratitude. Gratitude will always get you through.
Places, please. Places, please. This is your place's call for the final performance of the Razzle Dazzle.
I mean, Las Vegas used to treat us like movie stars. Costumes, sets. We were ambassadors for style and grace. The Las Vegas Showgirl. The iconic American showgirl.
You have an act prepared?
I do. I'm a dancer.
Music?
Yeah. I gave it to the maestro.
Hold your cards close.
Feeling seen, feeling beautiful. That is powerful. And I can't imagine my life without it. Doing a job that you don't really love, that's hard.
Welcome to the Actor's Side. Today, you all know her. You've known her for years, but you never knew her like you know her now. With the movie The Last Showgirl, she has said this is the role she's waited her whole life to play, and I'm so glad she did. Welcome to the Actor's Side, Pamela Anderson.
Oh, thank you. Who thought I'd ever be here?
A show called The Actor's Side, because we talk about the art of acting, and boy, do you deliver in this. And, it's obviously a great opportunity. Your book is terrific here. The documentary is fantastic on Netflix. If you have not seen this documentary, Pamela, it really is an eye-opener, too. And I love how it ends, because it ends with you on stage. And I only wish I was in New York to have seen you in Chicago, but they have a lot of clips from it. And at the end, of the documentary, you're singing Nowadays, and everything's good, at least nowadays. And nowadays, everything's good, huh?
Everything is good. Better than it's ever been.
Well, it's fantastic because that documentary ends, as book 2, before The Last Showgirl, which I thought was interesting because you say, I don't know where it's going.
I still don't know where it's going. I mean, living in the mystery and being okay with that is kind of a bold lifestyle. I think it's a romantic way to live. And so I just kind of stay open to what's next. And yeah, I felt like Broadway was just the warm-up for The Last Showgirl.
Yeah. And in a sense it is, too, because, I mean, you were able to go there, and I think somebody said on your team, they said, it's nice because expectations were so low. You go to Broadway. Yeah.
I used to say that if no expectations, you can't disappoint anybody. But
that's right.
Yeah, but now, no. But now I don't like to say that because it's...
You wowed them. You wowed them, and it was clear looking at all the clips and things. You're fantastic. You're a great fan of Gwen Verdon, I know.
I love Gwen Verdon
and
Bob Fosse. I used to sit in the park bench underneath their apartment on Central Park East, I guess was where it is, and just look up there and say, I'm going to make you proud. I don't know. I was so attached to this. I've watched everything Bob Fosse, and to be able to, learn that choreography is just, and I'm not a dancer, so I don't count, like 1, 2, 3, 4. I just memorize after each step. So I had to figure it out in my own way. I've never been a dancer, and I've never
Except
been a
on
singer.
Dancing with the Stars.
I did do Dancing with the Stars, and that's actually where Rob Marshall saw me.
And that was it, huh?
He saw me, and then he saw me on the beach with surfboards over my shoulder, bringing my kids to a surf contest, and he came up to me and he goes, "Have you ever thought about doing Broadway?" And I was like, "Who are you?" He's like, "I'm Rob Marshall. I directed, Chicago." And he goes, "There's no vulnerability left in Hollywood. Like we need to get you doing things because I just see you have so much to give." And then he called Barry Weissler, and Barry Weissler called me, and that's how it all kind of started. I was looking for any help I could get, spiritually, anything. I just didn't know if I could sing or dance or act on stage, but I found I could do all of it at the same time. And that was what was really eye-opening, and that I felt so safe on stage. And that even though I was vibrating backstage thinking, with all those jitters and everything, and then going out there and just feeling so free and had so much fun, and it was scary, but I needed it for my soul. I needed to do something. And I thought, from Baywatch to Broadway, that sounds good. Who would have known that
That's
it
the
would have
next
gone
book.
further?
That's a great title.
Yeah.
I saw this movie at the Toronto Film Festival. I was going to review it. It was one of many movies, you go in and you do. And I just get in the line. I know I'll always get in because they, even though it's like these theaters are huge that they show. This was at the Princess of Wales. But I swear to you, I went around and it was starting to rain and everything, around the block. Then I went around the block. Then I went around the block. And then I went around another block. And I've been to Toronto many times and many screenings. I've never stood in a line like this. I said, whoa, this is crazy.
Canadian girl, maybe.
Canadian
Maybe
girl,
that was it.
And the Canadians really were the first there in line, literally.
Yeah. Well, we thought it was a great place to premiere it in Toronto.
Must have been fun to go.
Oh, it was fun. It was scary. The first time we had seen the film together as a cast was at the Toronto Film Festival. So we all saw it together for the first time. There was a lot of tears, and I think it was exciting to see.
Oh, it was. Well, one of your co-stars, the wonderful Jamie Lee Curtis, got very emotional on stage and talking about taking on this role. And she has said many times now, the reason she did it when she heard you were in it. And she said, I don't even need to read the script. Wow.
I know. When she looked at me and said, "I did this for you." I was like, oh my goodness. Okay, this is serious.
Yeah, wow.
No, it was really wonderful. She's such a champion for women and champion for herself, and she's such a great role model and inspiration to me to see her take on these characters so fearlessly and so originally and uniquely. She just has this, well, first of all, she has so much life experience to bring into it, but also her family, and so she knows what she's doing. And she's also been objectified in her career and life too, and then made that switch.
Yes.
So I didn't really put that all together until we were, together and realized, it's all about reinvention.
It really is. When she sat in this very chair a couple of years ago, a year ago, and we got to talking. She said, I'm 64. I just decided I'm going to do this now. And I said, she was nominated for an Academy Award at that point. She hadn't won yet. And I said, your obit is now going to say Academy Award nominee Jamie Lee Curtis dies. And
oh yeah, right, okay. Yeah.
And she said, no, it isn't. She said, Halloween actress Jamie Lee Curtis is going to die because she, like you were pointing out, got sort of stuck with that image and all of that.
Well, I mean, it's being a part of pop culture is a blessing and a little bit of a curse too.
Yeah.
So you kind of start at a deficit, trying to convince people, first of all, that you're human, and then secondly, that you're an actress and you're transforming into these characters. But I like a challenge.
That's sort of what it says on the back of your book. To live and dream is a wicked dance. My dreams often come true, a curse and a blessing.
You're right. There you go. Yes. Yes. But you need, sure, I look back on my life and think maybe I would have done things differently, but I needed the life experience to teach me that I should have done things differently, So there's really no regrets. And I don't think I could have played the character of Shelley as I did if I didn't have the life I had from, childbirth to now.
How much should you bring of yourself into that role?
Everything.
Really?
Everything. Everything I've got, everything I could remember. And funny enough, I've just written my memoirs, so I remember a lot. Sometimes, I started writing my book, my first memory, my second memory, and then, it was quite a interesting journey. But yes, and I felt like you can write about it, you can talk to your friends about it, you can go to therapy about your life, but to do a movie and to be able to put so much into it and to learn about yourself along the way is a unique experience. Sometimes there's no other way to express yourself. If you make a painting or write a song, or you need something else. And so I felt like I really got a lot off my chest in this movie. It was really helpful.
Just like Rob Marshall saw you on Dancing with the Stars and saw something there, the great directors always know this, and Gia Coppola, of the infamous Coppola dynasty and everything, saw your documentary, I understand, and said, she's it, she's Shelley.
Yeah, and that does take a special kind of visionary to be able to look through all the nonsense and see a person, aching to express herself creatively. And she saw that in me. And that was, I think life-changing, life-saving for me. It was really wonderful. And so when I finally got the script, it kind of went to an old agent. They passed on it. And then finally my son heard about it and brought it to me. And, Gia was relentless. She was looking for me. And she found me in my garden making pickles. I wasn't sure. I was a little disappointed that I wasn't able to reach my potential as an actress. And so I thought, okay, that's it. I'm just always going to be remembered, for this caricature. Right. And no, she said, no, I need you. You are my Shelley. And she was such a great actress director. And yeah, like I said, that took a special person to be able to see that. So I'm eternally grateful to Gia.
I think you underestimate yourself as an actor. I really do. Because I was a big fan of Steve Leviton's Stacked show. It was a 2 seasons, something like that. Sure. You were great. You had great comic timing. That show was really well written. And, it should have gone on longer, just like his show Reunion, which only lasted 8 episodes, was fantastic. But I could tell then. Did you know when you did that show?
Well, I love Steve Leviton. They really talked me into doing this show. I was distracted. I had a lot of things going on in my personal life. One thing, raising children. And I was really, and they said, do a TV series or do a sitcom because that's the greatest hours, and you can drop your kids off at school. You can pick them up in the afternoon. You have weekends off. And so I did it. But my heart really wasn't in it, and I felt like I just needed the time, and I feel like I said, now my kids are grown. I have full focus. My relationship is my work. It's my lover, my best friend. It's everything. It's all I need. I'm very happy, and I think that's what you need to do. You need to be able to have that kind of time and appreciation and just focus. For me, I knew I was capable of more right when I was doing Baywatch. I took acting lessons a long time ago and was so fascinated in what it all meant. But then, I got married, got sidetracked, and, my life kind of went like this a little bit. And then I got back into it when I did Broadway, and I did this film, and I did Naked Gun, and now at Rosebush Pruning too. And I've been working privately, and I love it. I'm soaking it up like a sponge. I've just scratched the surface.
Yeah, exactly. You've been actually working a lot since this movie, Naked Gun, which I cannot wait for.
Well, that's going to be fun.
Liam Neeson. It's got to be great.
Well, he's so funny. And it's and I know like Leslie Nielsen started out as a dramatic actor. So so Liam as this he's Irish. Of course he's funny. He's just so humble and gracious and funny, and just he's goofy, and I think everyone's going to have like he likes to say, a giggle.
And then you just recently came back from doing another picture.
I just shot Rosebush Pruning in Barcelona with Karim Anouz, and it's an ensemble piece. Callum Turner, Riley Kehoe, Jamie Bell, Elle Fanning.
Wow.
There's Lucas Gage. It's quite and Tracy Letts plays my husband, my ex-husband.
Oh my God! Wow.
So and I play the mother of I wouldn't want to say dysfunctional, but we'll call it eerie family. So another completely different role.
Wow, Tracy Letts could write a play for you.
I hope so. I'm really drawn to theater. I really hope I get to do more theater. I'm thinking about trying to get a place on the East Coast so I can be closer to New York, just in case.
And just go back on the boards, huh?
I would love that. What's great about the Fosse choreography and just that play is that it's just a black stage. And dancers and singers. It's not a lot of props, not a lot of anything. It was really kind of just bare bones and all about the people on stage.
What's interesting too about doing that kind of Broadway show like Chicago, and all those people that are in that show that this has been running forever. They have lives. They go there. This is their place of work. No bones about it when they go on 8 times a week. The show in The Last Showgirl, these are all women here that have their lives. This is what they do, and it's suddenly being taken away from them, and it's just devastating. But it is business as normal, and this is something Shelley, your character, has done, and now it's gone.
Yeah, and I feel like that's what was so interesting. I love to think about the women holding up the rhinestones. They have relationships, they've got kids, they've got heartache, and the show must go on, and they need to know what they're going to make for dinner. And there's all this banter backstage, which I heard firsthand on when I was in Chicago.
Oh yeah.
On the play, and everyone is talking about what they're going to eat for dinner, what someone's wearing. I mean, it could be anything, watching baseball, and then they hear their cue, boom, they're on, and then they go off the stage and they start talking again about what they're making for dinner. And so the conversation, and I was like, oh my gosh, I've got so many, I got a monologue coming up, I've got everything in there talking, but they've been on there for 18 years. It's
Right.
muscle memory, it's just go time, and then I just don't know how, it's so demanding, it's so hard, and it's so interesting that these people can do this for so long. And and these people are not all super young actors. I mean, it's great on stage. People, there is an expiry date, I'm sure, just like with Shelley, but it's down the road a little bit. And I found that I think it's a very hopeful film, Shelley, because I think that she's going to always sparkle and always reinvent herself. And I have a lot of bedazzled great aunts, so I know that it just gets sparklier.
And we get that at the end of it. It's very hopeful. You walk out of that movie, and you have a lot of faith that she's going to be okay.
Yeah, she's tough. She doesn't pull any punches. She's, like I always say, she wears her heart on her sleeve. She manages her life best she can. An imperfect, messy kind of person when it comes to her life choices and reassessing her life choices. And she's not a pushover.
Right.
And then she is teaching her daughter in the best way she knows how. The mother-daughter story, I think, is a really important part of the film.
That's
as
great.
well.
You're great together with
Billy.
her. Yeah, and
She
playing
brought a
that
lot.
scene. Huh?
I mean, her grandmother's Debbie Reynolds, her mother's Carrie Fisher.
Yeah,
So, we were both just
It
locked
runs
and
in the
loaded,
family.
for that scene. That was the first scene we did together, and it was quite a bonding experience.
I'll say.
And heartbreaking.
It's amazing, and working with that ensemble, the whole ensemble, it's great. In an 18-day shoot, that's even less than what they call a television movie gets.
Yes, 18 days, and I was in everything, so I had to come very, very prepared. I came, I made sure I knew that movie from start to finish like a play. Right. That's how I came. But obviously, then the director tells you where to go, but you need to have all the work in you and ready for anything. And so that was really wonderful because there was no time to do multiple takes. It was on film too, so we didn't see playback. She kept her little monitor to herself. Right. Department heads didn't have, nowadays everyone has these monitors and
Sure.
has to chime in. But this was her singular vision. She's such a great, she's soft-spoken but super decisive. You can trust her completely. And it was kind of all new to me. Like, I feel like this is just the beginning of my career. It was my first real experience on a film where I was 100% devoted to it.
Yeah, that's interesting. I got the feeling it is the beginning too. I mean, doing this documentary, doing this book, all of that was phase one. And it ends that way, but you didn't know.
No.
Which is like, the timing is like amazing.
Yeah.
That this just dropped in your life like this.
When I was a little girl, I used to think I was going to recognize myself when I was older. I just had to get through, 50 years. I used to think that when I was little.
Wow.
So maybe this is it. Maybe this was it. When I did Broadway, I put a picture of me at 5 years old. That was the only picture I had on my mirror, and I thought that she deserves this. Wow. And I would just look at her each night and go, this is for you. And so this is what really, propelled me to not be tired. I mean, it was, 8 shows a week. Yeah. 8 shows a week, 2 shows on the weekend. It's quite, it was a lot. It was so wonderful, but it did feel like Groundhog Day when you do a play every day and you're like, I just did this yesterday. I'm going to do it today. When you catch yourself, gratitude gratitude will always get you through.
Can you imagine the people that do it for a year, 2 years?
18 years.
18.
Some of the people on there have done those roles.
Yeah,
18 years
in that
yes.
show?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a rare show that's been running forever.
It's been running
just,
forever, and it will run forever. It's a wonderful, it's great. I hope it's always there.
Yeah, they do too. 18 years. It's steady work, as they say.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's amazing. This is something I looked at, but Lily James played you, obviously, in Pam and Tommy. She got an Emmy nomination, a Golden Globe nomination, and a Critics' Choice nomination for playing Pamela Anderson. You have not. Now, there's something wrong in the universe, in my opinion.
Well, I didn't even know that was coming out. I knew nothing of it. No one called me and asked me anything about it.
They didn't ask your permission
no
or
one asked
anything,
me, no.
which
So-
makes this doubly bad.
Which kind of fuels my fire.
Really?
No, I don't know. I don't know if it does. Maybe it does. I just want to make my kids proud too. And I think those kind of things where they are exploiting your personal life, what they know of your personal life,
Right.
too, which is usually not all true. So, yeah, I need, like I said, when I did Broadway, I felt, and I saw my kids front row, that was amazing to see so much pride and respect in their faces, like afterwards, and then they just recently saw this movie. Even though Brandon produced it, he brought me the script. He said, "I want to believe the hype, Mom." I'm like, "What do you mean?"
He hadn't seen it?
He hadn't seen it. No, and I had nobody come to the set when I was filming too because I wanted my focus. It was a very short, shooting schedule, and I feel differently when my kids are around. You can't help it when you're a mom, just worrying about where everybody is and what they're doing. So, they finally saw it, and I got 2 big hugs from them. They saw it at different times, and so that felt good too, because I want my legacy to be. I don't want to be defined by what has been done to me. I want to be defined by what I do, and so these are things that I'm hoping to continue to do.
Yeah, what's interesting to me, it's all in your documentary too. They said blonde bombshell, all those words Hollywood throws out and everything. And I think of actresses like Marilyn Monroe, Frances Farmer, Jessica Lange got an Oscar nomination for playing Frances Farmer, Marilyn Monroe and Michelle Williams, others have been nominated for that. And actors like that who never got it in their lives. Yet you look at Marilyn Monroe in Some Like It Hot.
The Misfits.
Bus Stop.
The Misfits.
Yeah, the Misfits. Unbelievable talent that Hollywood sort of held back. She didn't get that opportunity. Which is so great right now. You are. And, it doesn't always happen. It didn't happen for them.
Well,
You're a survivor. That's
I'm a
what
survivor,
I'm getting to.
and I'm also a rebel. Sometimes I go against what everyone's telling me to do. Even including the no makeup thing. People panicked all around me, and I said, it's just not a big deal. I'm just not in my personal life. I don't feel like wearing makeup, but I also felt like I want people to see me, and then in who I am, and that's enough. Not the caricatures I created. But even though I guess they were memorable characters, they turned into Halloween costumes. Gotta, that's a compliment, I guess. But so now I get to play characters in movies instead of in my personal life.
Right, exactly. Baywatch you did. For how many years did you do that?
5 years.
5 years. And it was just this, it wasn't just here, our normal television show. It was probably the beginning, before streaming, before Netflix and everything, of being a global sensation, just around the world.
150 countries.
You couldn't go anywhere without that madness. It's all in that documentary. I can't imagine people living through that and still having a head. And
It was just also surreal. And also that time, people didn't have, these social media apps, so people were more excited about people because they didn't see them so much.
Right.
So it was, wild at times.
It certainly was. I mean, that was crazy. But you know what? You became, I think, the highest paid actress on television.
Yeah, and I think I started out as the lowest paid on the first season.
What
and
did
then
they
by
pay you for the first season?
$1,500 an episode. Yeah. Yeah.
I
So
get more doing this.
well, that long time ago, things were different, back in the old days, But I mean, also, I think I spent all of that because what I would do is I would go to my favorite makeup artist's house at 3 a.m. and get ready for Baywatch because I really thought I wanted this is the way I wanted to look on Baywatch. I was really, wanted to do that. So and then after the first season, then they looked after me. But I don't know. I'm very visual. I like to be a part of the look, I don't know. I was already being super creative back then. You know, I just knew what I wanted it to be.
Yeah,
I worked really hard on that, and I know it was Baywatch, but I think anybody in that situation, and like what takes a great performance is not just the actor, but it's the script, and it's the director, and it's the the editor and the music. I mean, we're so lucky we've got such beautiful music in this movie.
yeah.
I mean, Andrew Wyatt is a genius, and then for Miley to sing that song, I mean, we got all it's just ticking off the boxes, but music's very important.
It's always been important to you, music.
Yes, and to me,
musicals,
too,
everything like that. A long time ago, you relate to that.
Well, I used to be in a jazz band when I was in high school. I played saxophone, a little bit of accordion, and I sang all the scat solos because I was the only one who would do it. Yeah. And it's funny because in Naked Gun, I actually have a scat solo. I won't give too much of it away, but it's quite interesting. Yeah. But I love jazz. I love the imperfectness of jazz. I mean, some of my favorite scenes are, Jean Moreau and Miles Davis, the elevator to the gallows. The music and the film, it's always really inspired me, and I love that our performance element to it. So I'm looking at those types of things too in future projects.
Do you think we'd be here talking if the camera didn't point to you on that Jumbotron all those years ago at that Canadian game?
The football game?
Football game.
I don't know. Who knows?
I mean, in other words, would you have pursued this no matter what?
I didn't think being an actress was a possibility. I was always a very imaginative kid, but I thought, actors had actor children who had actor children. I didn't think this was Hollywood was even that real. I wasn't expecting to go there. So, I don't know. I mean, I remember Playboy finding me in the phone book, like they called me because I was listed in the phone book, and they asked me to come down, and I hummed and hawed about it and thought, no, I'm actually very shy. I'm paralyzingly shy as a kid, and my mom told me to do it. She goes, I want you to go there, do it, have a different life, darling. I want you to experience life, and if this is how you, we call the island the rock. I get off the rock. Let's do it. Just go do it.
Your mother is incredibly supportive of you, and that's important.
My mom and dad never taught me how to think, never taught me what to believe. We've always just had these collaborative conversations, and I really appreciate that. They did the best they could. They were 17 and 19 when they had me. And they're still together, madly in love, more in love than I think anybody I've ever seen.
It's amazing.
So it's out there. It works. It happens.
It can happen. But now you're madly in love with show business.
I'm madly in love with show business. Who would have thought? No, but I really am. I'm really excited about this time in my life. But I've also raised my kids, and I feel like this is the time for me. And my kids are so wonderful because they're the ones who said, "We just want you to be you, Mom, and we want you to realize your potential." I mean, my kids really masterminded this. I mean, Brandon produced the documentary, told me to write my book. I thought, write my book and put it in a safe and then, have it come out when I'm gone. They're like, no, you have nothing to be ashamed of.
Right.
And not that I was ashamed, I just didn't think I didn't really spend my life explaining myself. It sounded like it went down such a weird road that there was just no getting away from it. But, this is what's good because I get to use all of that in my work now.
It's so good. And look what it's doing. You won the jury prize at the San Sebastian Film Festival, the Golden Eye at Zurich Film Festival, the Marquis Award at the Savannah Film Festival. You are nominated for lead performance at the Gotham Awards, it's coming up, and nominated for Best Actress so far at the AARP. Which they call AARP, used to be the American Association of Retired Persons. That doesn't sound good, but it's cool. It's a big award show, and you're up in that as well, and more to come. How does it feel? I'm
just very excited. I'm just taking it day by day because, I don't know, it's very surreal, but I mean, this is the best time in my life. And not just because of that, just because of a lot of the work I've done on myself and a lot of the opportunities I just like to work. The harder I work, the happier I am. I love working hard. So this is all very exciting. Hard work does pay off.
Yeah. What are you looking for in the future now? You've done these movies that are coming out. You got a lot on your docket here. And what do you want to do?
I want to do everything. Everything. No,
That's
but
broad.
I know, but I want to. That's broad. But no, I want to challenge myself. I want to transform into characters. I want to be a chameleon. I want to experiment with things that are challenging, and I'm looking at a few things now that are in that way. And I want to work with really wonderful directors and actors. And I'm a huge, I watch movies constantly. I'm a Criterion junkie. I just robbed to the Criterion closet the other day. Everything, all the Godard and Fellini and
My
Bergman.
God, they're
and
coming out with a box set. It's actually now, it's like 40 Criterion movies. It costs like $300 and something, but it's the pick
Worth
of
it.
pick of the litter. It is everything. You'll go crazy if you're Godard or
yeah,
all those.
all that.
It's that whole mix. Yeah, that's a big Christmas gift.
Yeah, there you go.
Criterion collection box.
Yeah.
But you're fans of all that kind of cinema.
I've been watching, Fellini and all these movies, and I remember, when I was when I started at Playboy, I would go to the Samuel French bookstore and sit on the ground and read Tennessee Williams and Eugene O'Neill plays, and Sam Shepard wondering, how do I get from here to there?
While you're doing Playboy covers.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that's it. That's Pam Anderson right there. That's why we can't pigeonhole you or try to define you. Let you define yourself.
Thank you.
Now, well, thank you for joining us on the actor's side today. Amazing. And the movie is The Last Showgirl, and check it out. It's coming out in December. Yes, it is.
Well, yeah, in America, in LA,
Qualifying
for a couple weeks.
it, and then
January 10th.
And January 10th, everywhere else. Pamela Anderson, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Pete.